and his mind just took off, and he came up with this story idea, and then presented it to his colleagues, who were the writers, Rex New and Nick Turner, who are two terrific guys, by the way. And the detail and the plot twist that they put into the movie are just, I really enjoyed reading it. And it was fun also to see. I saw the movie at the Mammoth Film Festival about 10 months ago, and it was pretty grand. It's very entertaining. It's funny, in a dark sort of way, sometimes more obviously funny. I have to say, it's hyper violent, and it's very suspenseful. At the very end of the movie, something happens that's the violence sort of leads to where someone makes a choice for all the reasons we'd want someone to make a choice, all the good reasons. I won't give any more than that, but it's a grand story, and that's how I understand the movie began.
Okay. And Kevin, in terms of your own involvement in this movie, are you sort of, dare I say, are you the good angel or the bad angel in terms of your role? Are you on the side of good or evil, or you has to maybe a cross somewhere between both?
Well, I have to say, I do play a bad hombre. Um, there are seven big dogs in this movie: Hemke Madera, Diego Tinoco, Nick Cassavetes,
Mm.
Thomas Jane, Tyrese Gibson, Luke Hemsworth, and Paul Johansson, that some of whom you mentioned before. Those are seven big guys. Compared to them, if they're big dogs, I'm a puppy. But it's interesting. I've never been able to play a cowboy before. I play the owner of a ranch in New Mexico, and I'm on a horse for the first time on film. That was very thrilling for me. But when I show up, in very short order, the two main characters that the story focuses on and the audience begin to understand just what kind of a wild ride this movie is going to be, and sets off a series of events, that we see in the film, that just go off into strange directions and fun directions and suspenseful directions. So that's my role, is to get the ball rolling there in that sense. I mean,
And it's
it's
yeah.
not my role; it's the character's role.
Mm. And I suppose, Kevin, maybe we can go back to the start now and a bit in terms of how you got involved in the project and how you landed your role within this sort of movie. And I dare I say, were you suggested for the role, or was it the normal auditions type process? And when you auditioned for the role, if you did audition for the role, and the talent agent and your manager brought this opportunity up towards you, were there anyone maybe cast before you tried out, or did you know of anyone attached to the project?
Well, it's not as grand as you're suggesting. It's actually pretty simple. You contacted my agent, Brett Adams. I've been with him for 40 years, and I've reached a point in my career where I've met a lot of people. People know me. And in this case, producer David Frigerio, one of the producers of the film and an associate of John Stahlberg for some time. I've known David for 30 years or plus. And he contacted me and said, "We've got this part. We think you're good for it. Would you want to do it?" And I tried to arrange my schedule, and I was able to. So it's just that simple. I was able to just go and do it. And it was a blast, because I knew a few of the people who were on the film. And then I met a lot of new people as well, like Luke Hemsworth and Paul Johansson. And later I met Thomas Jane. I met Hemke and Diego. Great people. Had a really good time with them. And it was some of the most fun I've ever had on a set, for sure. Yeah.
Mm. And Kevin, in terms of production and shooting and the location the movie was shot, where did you shoot? Was it a 6 to 8 week sort of shoot? Was it even quicker than that? Because I'm speaking to an awful lot of actors now lately, and they're saying projects and movies are they're being shot within 4 weeks, let alone the usual 6 week. It's sort of the deadlines are coming quicker and quicker. What was the story for Bad Hombres?
It's really something. It's really impressive. Have you seen the film?
I've seen the trailer for it, and I've seen bits of clips, but I haven't seen the whole movie from start to finish as of yet.
Okay. Well, I'm in New York City, so the movie was shot in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and I got a call from David in late January of 22, and he said, "We've got this. Do you want to do it?" And I arranged my schedule, and because I really wanted to, because I read the script. It was pretty. It's not a huge part, but it's a really cool part that I've got, and it's a lot of fun. And I really wanted to do it, and so I was able to arrange that. And in fact, I was only there for 40 hours. Now, I hesitate to tell you this next thing, because I don't want anyone to think that this movie lacks quality, that was slapdash together. It was shot in an astonishing 15 days. And I don't know
Wow.
how they were able to do that because this is a complex film. There are scenes that when I heard that, there are scenes in the film that are so complex. How John Stahlberg and cinematographer Peter Vermeer were able to do this, I don't know. Although I have some comments about that later, and I want you to ask me about that. But this thing went so quickly, and part of the reason was you had these seven big actors, which is a really interesting collection of personalities in one film. Most of whom interact with each other, some don't. Um, so they had to arrange their schedules. The producers and the director and cinematographer, some of the crew had to arrange their schedules. And there was a 15-day window that was pretty hard. So that led to certain choices that were made during the filming. And when I heard that, I was just astonished. And if you see the film, it does not look like it was hurried. It
No,
looks
there's a
like
lot
it
of
was,
stunts in it.
oh, there are.
Yeah.
And but just the camera setups, it's not an easy film to shoot. How they did it is astonishing, and it is just a testament to the talent of the people involved. Um, there's a story about Apocalypse Now, that they had to fire one of the main characters and an actor replace him. That was traumatic. Later, that was amicable, but during the time, it was uh, very distressed. It was very
Yeah.
stressful. And then there were sets that they were destroyed by natural things like hurricanes. There was a semi-revolution in the Philippines where they were shooting it. There was all kinds of money that they had that they spent, and then they had to spend it again because they had to do this, that, and the other. There were accidents. I think there were a couple of fatalities among some crew members or somebody. All these helicopters, all these coordinations. Sometimes they could work things out, sometimes they couldn't. All kinds of arguments, all kinds of distractions. And when Francis Ford Coppola was promoting the movie in, I think it was Cannes, he said, our movie wasn't about Vietnam, it was Vietnam. So in a similar kind of way, the production of Bad Hombres reflected the story within, in that things in the movie, in the narrative, move so quickly, and there are split decisions that must be made by characters. And if they make the wrong decision in that split second, they are doomed. And they have to, but if they make the right decision, and often they do, sometimes they don't, they're able to go on to the next crisis that they face. So the movie was shot similarly, and there was no window for error. And there were moments when John Stahlberg and his cinematographer Peter Vermeer had to make decisions about how they were going to shoot things. And I think when you have people that are that talented, they just revert to their creative brain. They don't. For instance, there was a scene involving a member of the character that I play's family and one of the Bad Hombres. There's an encounter between them, and it was shot in my home, not my home, but the character's
Yeah.
home. And it was complex, again, complex. And the way that John Stahlberg decided to shoot that scene is one of the most talked about things in the film, because it's just he made some choices that were demanded by time,
Mm.
but it made it a better scene. I think the movie is better because when people are that talented and they have to make decisions quickly, they make the right decisions. Whereas if they'd had the luxury of time, they might have shot things differently. They might have tried to do too many things. But this gets down to the brass tacks, but it's a very well shot film, and I think that helped. I think the speed of the production actually reflects the story within, and I think it worked. I really do think it worked.
So in that sense, sort of calls were made on the spot as they went. So I imagine it was an ever-changing sort of, dare I say, dialogue and conversations in terms of script, in terms of that nothing was sort of set in stone from day one. They sort of
Well, that's funny you should
the
say that.
movie
Now, again,
evolves as we continue.
I agree. Now, let me just remind you that I wasn't there for that very long. I
Yeah.
was actually on set for 40 hours, and I on set to shoot for about 4 hours. But at the beginning of the production, and I know this because I had discussions with a lot of these people after the fact at the Mammoth Film Festival, and I knew David Frigerio quite well. And he told me that at the beginning of the thing, when they got everyone together, he said, I want you all to abandon all preconceived notions of how movies are shot and how they're produced, because this is going to be something that we've never done before. And so they did, but they made the right decisions, and it worked out great. And when I say that it's shot in 15 days,